back here a moment, because you obviously thought for a long time it was somebody else's evening. But tonight, John Hannan, this is...
What's my evening, is it? Oh, I better get a glass out of this, I think.
John, there's the glasses tonight and nice folk that's coming in. If you want to read this. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to know a wee bit about the life of John Hannan. John Alexander Hannan was born on the 17th of June 1923 at 136 High Street, Dunbar. He was the youngest son of Catherine Jane Robertson and John Hannan. John's mother was born in 10 Caledonian Crescent, Edinburgh, and later moved to Writers' Court, Dunbar, where she attended Dunbar School, and she was inducted to the school for 3 years running. John's father was born in Berwick, and he too moved to Dunbar and worked for Craig's Fish Shop in the High Street. Later he was to own his own fish shop in the West Coast. They married in Dunbar on the 5th of April 1912, and they went to live in 136 High Street, where the eldest of their 3 sons, Robert John, was born in 1914. Their second son, Christopher Robertson, was also born there in 1919. They later moved to number 9 Borrowdales and eventually to number 1 Borrowdales, where John has stayed ever since. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very sorry that Robert cannot be with us tonight through ill health. But please welcome Christopher and Mary, John's brother and his wife. Chris, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, this must be the best kept secret, I think. It must be. I talked to you this afternoon. Aye. Just about let the cat out of the bag. I wish you had. I'm supposed to say something. You're going to have to say something nice. Just say something. You were probably the best behaved of the 3 of us. You never seemed to get in any trouble. You were always out playing football. That's right. Yeah. Trying to play anyway, yeah. I hope you remember that I taught you anything you knew. I was 4 years older than you. I thought that was coming. You'll remember I played for Dunbar Town, the senior team. You were senior, right? Yes, that. I never got that. Anyway, it's great to be here tonight, John. Quite an occasion for you, I'm sure. I'm glad you've seen it anyway. Thank
you very much. Now the 3 sons were all keen footballers. In fact, as he mentioned, Chris played inside right for Dunbar Town in 1938 in league games. But he later gave up football to concentrate on his studies at university. Robert also moved on to become a very successful photographer and owned a shop next to John Knox's house in Edinburgh. Now John, some say was born with a football attached to his right foot. There is one story when John was a message boy for his father in his fish shop, and he had to deliver fish to Belhaven on his bicycle. His basket was filled to the top with orders, and as usual he was in such a hurry. Yes. You remember that? I remember, yes. He took off along the High Street down the back road to Belhaven as if being chased by the bats of hell. He was chanting to himself, I'll be late for the football. He was going so fast when he tried to brake, John had a fish went over the handlebars and landed in the sand. He picked up the fish, sand and all, and stuffed them back into the papers. And obviously, wrong fish, wrong orders, wrong deliveries. course, we can all imagine what happened when he got back to the shop.
Yes, yes.
And when John played at the Dunbar School, a man who was later to become one of his heroes took a keen interest in him. But well, perhaps we shall let this man tell you himself. Do you recognise this voice, John?
Well, Johnny, 7 o'clock, Wednesday night, pick up, be there quick.
Come on, John.
Wow.
Come, perhaps I'll introduce him to you. Barney Mackenzie.
He's one of these.
See something here, Barney, about John?
Oh, yeah. The first time I ever seen him play was at school. And the late Ronnie Purvis was the captain at school. He asked me to the team up. And I landed against this laddie. He was up so high there. I said, Ken's got to be a good one. Right away.
Perhaps we should speak next about John's time in the Boys Brigade. In fact, if we were to say Crown Johnny Hannan, King of Scotland, I'm sure one of his squad could tell you about 1938 and Sergeant Hannan's claim to the crown that day. Do you recognise this voice, Johnny?
I think I'm going to recognise it.
Good evening, Sergeant.
Mr. Black.
As you say, Dave Blackhall.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think it was 1938, I joined the Boys Brigade in Dunbar. And at that time it was, our captain was the Reverend Reid of the Abbey Church. And of course we went to the cartoons, you see. And I was, this was my sergeant at that time.
Aye, yes, I remember.
And mind you, he was a strict man, I'll tell you. They always wanted to win. No matter what it was, they wanted to win. On Friday nights in the parish church hall, we used to compete against all the different platoons. I think there were 6 at that time. And Johnny always wanted to win. Then, of course, later on, we went up to the Dunbar town pitch at the Upper Spot Road.
That's one of the brother played senior football.
And we did our training there. And he was still as keen then, he wanted to win. Then, of course, the big night was when we went down to Port Seaton and the Boys Brigade, final of the cup. And who was the hero that night? Johnny.
Something going to happen before this is finished.
I remember coming back in the bus and we all sang Crown Johnny Hannan, King of Scotland. Now folks, Johnny was a gentleman then and he's still a gentleman to this present. John?
Well, the war broke out in 1939, and you can imagine the feelings of Catherine and John when all 3 of their sons were called to war. First Robert to the Royal Air Force in 1940, next Christopher to the Royal Army Medical Corps in 1941, and then John to the Gordon Highlanders in 1942. John did his training at Bridge of Dawn in Aberdeen, and when he too was sent to war, he was captured shortly afterwards in Anzio in 1943 and was sent to Camp Stalag 8B on the border of Germany and Poland. As a prisoner of war, he was one of those who walked the 1,000 miles through Poland. Being the man he is, though, that's enough on that subject. The only one thing to remember is that we don't mention the word German. Now we go into his football life, and before John signed for Dunbar, he played for Benburg. And his father, who was extremely proud of his son's football career, bought the Glasgow papers to read the match reports, and he was always pleased to share the information with anyone who knew John. Now John, let's see if you know where this is, on this screen.
Tinto. The pavilion has remained the same, but the curtains for the changing areas have been partitioned off to form dressing rooms. The enormous enclosure was built after John left to join Dunbar United. The surrounding Govan area has also changed. The industrial and shipbuilding landscape has all but disappeared. Melbourne Park, Alexandria, home of Vale of Leon FC. It was at this park Dunbar United's spectacular 1953 Scottish Cup run came to an end in a quarter-final replay. The previous week, a ground record at Countess Park saw the two clubs fight out a draw to return here. This is the station end of the ground, where, with the scores level, a penalty kick was awarded to Dunbar United. The rest is history. The Vale went on to win the cup.
I take it you recognise some of it, John.
I do, yeah, I do.
Your first junior club you played for, isn't it?
That was Dunbar, right?
While he was still playing for Benburg, John came back to Dunbar to be brother Chris's best man at his wedding in 1945. In 1946, John signed for Dunbar United, much to the delight of his father, who was then the Provost of Dunbar as well as President of Dunbar United. John's first season with Dunbar saw his name appearing many times on the score sheets. Here are some of the high-scoring games. Rosewell Rosedale, 6-4. Ormiston Primrose, 6-2. Dalkeith Thistle, 7-1 away. Preston Athletics, 7-0 away. Stonyburn Juniors, 7-1. In the Stonyburn Juniors game, John scored his first hat-trick for Dunbar. Dunbar was approached with generous offers from Harrington Athletic and Eyemouth, for the transfer of the player Hannan, but these offers were rejected.
Big deal.
John Hannan, the man born with 15 feet, knew how to hit a ball with power and accuracy and was here to stay at Dunbar. One illustration of this power was when he played against a luckmate from Cunningham Builders, Billy Hawes, who was goalkeeper for Ormston Primrose. Billy tried to stop one of John's shots, and although he wasn't badly injured, it kept Hawes the bricklayer off work for a few days. Dunbar won 7-0 with John Hannan scoring 5 goals. John, do you recognise this voice?
Hi John, you didn't only have Andrew Conker and the Hackney defence to deal with, but you also had full Mrs. Docker.
Something like a man by the name of Johnson.
Thanks support that Chuck Johnson.
You're in this as well, are you? Yes.
Do you recall the particular time playing Haddon at Brewery Park, John? Big Skinner was in the goal, a beautiful cross flight from the right wing, and you were on the back post, and so the unimaginable's going to happen. Johnny's going to score with his head. But no, Johnny got off his tiptoes and popped it over the bar. But Skinner laughed as he did, but you took the smile off his face about 2 minutes later when you fired it. An unstoppable thing into the back of the net, John. Nice times to remember, friend.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Now, season 1947-48 followed with John in good form, again appearing many times on the score sheet. This quiet gentleman was popular with his teammates both on and off the park. A player's player who could create openings and chances as well as being able to read a game. Once again, an approach was made by Harrington Athletic to buy player Hannan for £15.
What the player?
Unfortunately for Dunbar, Carter went up to scratch, so Dunbar held on to John for another season. The season 1949-50, John was retained for the princely sum of £5. Big money in these days, John. The club was approached for the transfer of Hannan on a purely financial basis, which was turned down yet again. 1950-51, Harrington went through their annual procedure of putting in a bid for John Hannan, only to be turned down again. He was happy to stay with Dunbar United for his generous signing-on fee of £5. No improvement on the previous years. John was always in form and his name popped up on the score sheet again and again. Season 51-52, John Hannan retained for a £5 signing fee. Again, John. This is the year the club changed their strip to black and white vertical stripes, having played some previous seasons in the Hibs colours. Season 52-53, you got retained again. Can you remember the retaining fee that year though?
What of interest in it?
Maybe £6. We had the Scottish Junior Cup 5th round versus Armadale, a replay. The largest recorded crowd at Counties Park, the Eden end of the park was banked up with rubble from the excavations for the new primary school to make a terracing for the expected crowd. Dunbar won the replay 2-1. The next round, Dunbar were drawn against Bill of Maven.
This is
Something unheard of happened.
This is
Something
interesting.
unheard of happened. Can you recall what happened at that time, John?
Can I go?
Can you recall what happened in that Bill of Maven game, John?
Yes, I know very well. Dunbar got a penalty, and you missed it. You know.
Yes, John missed the penalty. But I'm following on with that. I'm sure you must recognise some of this.
Very happy that the bar is doing you this honour. I'm sorry that we cannot be with you tonight, but we wish you all the best. And that comes from myself, who I hope you remember, and this old chap who's sitting beside me, who goes back further than me.
You hear that, Johnny? This old chap, eh? What do you think we are? You think we're finished with the game?
Johnny, I think you were one of the best dead ball kickers of a ball that I ever came across in all the time I played football. I would rank you and Balderson of Armadale, two of the best strikers of a ball that I ever came across. And if you're playing today, I reckon you'd be worth about £1 million each.
Aye. Run too quick, Johnny. You're a great kicker of a ball, right enough. Many a time you bought corner kicks, were dropping on anybody's head. All you need to do was just shove them in.
He wasn't so good with his left foot, though, was he?
Nah.
No. Not his head.
He was a Wally element.
Wally element, aye.
Definitely.
But he could run.
Oh, aye, aye.
Aye. Oh, he had good pace and he could kick out ball, I'll tell you that.
I wish I'd been there, Johnny, because I'm off a try now, actually, but it would have been a good evening for me to come down, I'll tell you that. So all the best to you, Johnny, on the night.
Yes, all the best, Johnny. Behave yourself.
All right. And a finish up under the table.
Well, John's playing career with Dunbar is impressive. He had 10 seasons with the same club. And in season 53, 54 he was retained, 54, 55 he was retained, and 55, 56 he was also retained. John, can you recognise this voice?
John, can you...
Is that the clue?
No, we're not finished yet. I've lost for words. John, did you really want to take that penalty against Leiden? Or not? Please,
Yes.
I haven't really clarified it myself. I'd like to find out from you if you really wanted to take it or not.
I did, because you think when I took it I'd missed it.
Well,
Yes.
John, let's meet two of your friends on that day, Nick Lindores, and the man who used to play for Dunbar and Dunbar United, Jackie Barrow.
Hello, John.
Hello, Bill, boy. Hi, you too.
No, sorry about that wee thing.
It's all right, it's all right.
Yes. I remember playing here with John, and I used to often watch him running down the wing. And he was very fast, and he used to cut inside the left back. And I used to put the poor goalkeeper at the other end because John had a devastating shot, and he usually kept it low. And not only that, he was on the target most times. So after a while, I was transferred, and I became the poor goalkeeper at the other end. And I can assure you, it did up my fingers many times. But the only time that I could really relax in the penalty box was when a high ball came over. I've never known John to intentionally hit the ball. But there again, saying that again, I have never intentionally fouled a man. He's never fouled a man. And he'd always adhered to the referee's decision. In fact, we could do with more sportsmen like he was. He was a proper sportsman and a gentleman.
In season 56-57, alas, John was free. There was a benefit game against Hartlepool Lothian was arranged and played on the 21st of August 1956 at Countess Park, and the result was Dunbar 1, Hearts 5. John played in front of the largest recorded crowd to date at Countess Park, 5,300. He also scored the most accumulated goals, reliably informed 200 plus. A record that stands to this day with no one coming close to beating this amazing record. You recognise this voice, John?
Well, John, I was one of your greatest fans, and you might not recognise my voice, but I'm very pleased to be here to talk about you.
Take the suspense away, John. We'd like to give you the former committee member, Gilbert Murray.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're here this evening to talk about Johnny, and I can assure you that Johnny was one of the leading lights of the 40s, late 40s, after the war, and the 50s. Now, just to put things in perspective, when Johnny played in the 1940s and 50s, it's not like football as it is today. They played in a pitch that wasn't drained at that time, and it was often covered with water. The other thing, the ball was about 3 times the weight as it is today. Now, I want to bring this up because it bears a lot of what we're going to talk about. When Johnny was playing football, there was many a day when you thought that the game would never take place because the pitch was saturated and the ball, as I said, was 3 times the weight. Now, in those days, in the 40s and 50s, there was no television then, and everything, as far as men were concerned, was concerned with Dunbar United. We went everywhere in those days. There was no buses, there was no cars in those days. Everyone went with buses. And there was great rivalries amongst all the local teams. I mean, all the local derbies with Harrington and Trinette, they were looked forward to by all people who followed football. And the local derbies was a special event. Now, Johnny was playing for Dunbar then, and he was, at that time, the leading light as far as all the Dunbar people were concerned. He won games when it wasn't thought possible, and you would never give up as long as Johnny was in the field. He scored goals from impossible angles. Now, this ball, as I said, was 3 times the weight of the present ball that they're playing with today. And if you made it first time, you could go out for the next 10 minutes. It was as hard as that to handle the ball, never mind score a goal. And there's many occasions we've been there when we thought the result was over and done with, and Johnny and all the rest of us were doomed. But he would come away with the ball and he would bring out goals that you would hardly dream of. They're nearly impossible, some of the goals he scored. Now, we've all heard of this penalty that Johnny missed. But I'd like to tell you about the penalties. Johnny scored 12 goals from penalty spots that secured many of a result. He was always a dangerous man to have in the field. And during the period between 1947 and 1955, Johnny scored as regular as the clock. In that time, he scored 215 goals. He had a 1-5 timer. He had 9 hat-tricks, and he scored 28 times. He scored 2 goals. Yes, I thought there was a good applause there. And he has done for Dunbar really proud. He's done his Dunbar really proud. I was sat there and water had been running out my shoes, waiting on Johnny so to come into action, and he did. And he saved us repeatedly. And Dunbar United, Johnny, I'm very proud of you. Dunbar United sort of went on from there to win the cup, but that's another story. But Dunbar United were in the forefront at that time. And Johnny just like to thank you on behalf of everyone present for what you've done for Dunbar United.
Thank you very much, Robert. It's quite enlightening to realise how many goals you actually scored, John.
I wonder to you.
Very modest there, wasn't he?
Yes.
Now we have here a copy of a telegram, John, that, to the Secretary of the Dunbar United football team at Tynecastle, Edinburgh, wishing the team every success today. Hannan, 1 Burridales, Dunbar. This telegram, even though he was no longer a player, he sent to Dunbar United. He always followed their progress avidly, and on that day he sent a telegram wishing the team every success. 22nd of April 1961 for the Junior Cup in the 60-61 season. And this telegram the club retains to this day. Might we introduce the gentleman who played in goal for Dunbar United that day, Billy Gillespie. Any memories of John when he played Billy, or was that too late for you? You were just a young fella.
What impressed me with John was the dignity. No doubt you've heard a lot about how he played, but I think the dignity they had. Johnny Hannan, like a local man, got a lot of stick, but he was a big man. I think with the dignity he showed. There's a lot I could say about him. Quite sure they're best qualified men than I am.
You have a lot of memory.
Well.
You're a ballet man.
John worked for Cunningham the Builders after the war, and when he was made redundant, he went to work at Lloyd's Scottish in Edinburgh. He travelled to work by train for over 30 years. Having retired from football, John took up a new sport, golf. Strange sport for you, John, golf.
It was, yes, aye.
He joined Winterfield Golf Club in the 60s and won a number of trophies. He even scored a hole-in-one. Well, that would be made up for the penalty miss. He scored a hole-in-one at the Dunbar's course at the 16th hole. He made a number of new friends on the golf course. Now, you would meet him after you scored the hole-in-one, Johnny.
Oh, aye.
Namely, Hughy Cameron, Hugh Tate, Ian Davey, Bob Smith, Jimmy Hamilton and Bill Smith, to name a few he regularly played with. He still made time, however, to follow his beloved football and Dunbar United's progress. John Hannan has always been a footballer from his days in the West Brigade teams right through to his days with Dunbar United. Even now in his later years, his love of the game and enthusiasm for Dunbar United shines through. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe perhaps we should say friends. You're all friends of John. Now we know a little bit more about John. But maybe introduce you to today's Dunbar United of 1995.
Dressing room for our game with Vonnerig this afternoon, and this is your 1994-95 team, which they feel they want to wish you all the best on your night and say a big thank you to you for everything you've done for Dunbar United in the past. So I'll introduce you now round the players. Here is the captain, Steve Kravich.
I'd like to take this opportunity, Johnny, to wish you all the best. So all the best.
John Leslie.
All the best, Johnny.
Andrew Frush.
All the best, Johnny.
Jamie Bryant.
Stick in, Johnny.
Wee Jockey Taylor.
The future.
Big Jockey Taylor.
All the best, Johnny.
Kevin Black.
All the best, Johnny.
Eric Rushford.
All the best, Johnny. Stick in.
Jason Riley.
All the best, Johnny.
Alex Stewart.
Have a nice night, Johnny. All the best.
Graham Small.
Take care, mate. All the best,
Alan McLaren.
Have a good night, Johnny.
Dougie Elms.
All the best, Johnny.
Neil Malcolm.
All the best, Johnny.
Ian Bailey.
Have a good night, Johnny.
David McDonald, our coach.
All the best, John. Have a nice night.
Tony, our assistant coach.
All the best, John. Have a good evening.
And coming at the corner, we've got our physio, Brian Hunter.
All the best, Johnny.
And we've got Rob Davis in the bucket man, who's always getting a new run.
All the best, Johnny.
That was our compliment of prayers for this afternoon. As you can see, they're all rearing to go. And once again, every one of these prayers, wish you all the very, very best. And I thank you for everything you've done for Dunbar United.
Well, John, as you realise, this night was meant to be held way back in November. We had a wee bit unfortunate upset for that evening. But glad to see everything come through well. But might I read you a letter which was dated for then, but obviously kept it till now. It's to Mr. John Hannan, Dunbar United FC. Dear John, the clubs and officials of the East region of the Scottish Junior Football Association would like to convey their congratulations to you on this your special night. They all hope that you have a terrific evening and enjoy yourself. All the very best. Yours in sport, Alan Bryce, Secretary of the East Region. There's a gentleman here I'd like to ask him to come over, John. We have something special here.
Good evening, John, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The worst part of this was not tripping over on the way over. And if I could just read this, it says on the back of this bottle, in 1897, William Grant, because his son had become a member of the Gordon Volunteers, had this specially distilled whisky for the officers' mess of the Gordons. And it is with great pleasure that we give this so that you've got something to remember, at least the bottle at the end of it. And it's from the Gordon Harriers.
John, might we introduce you to the current manager of Dunbar United, Alec McLaren, his eldest son, Tony, the player coach, his son, Alan Crozier, the secretary, and Doogie Elms, who's played for Dunbar since 1989.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see Doogie Elms, a long-time servant player, has just presented a wee token to Johnny as a memento. We're saying it's for everybody, it's the other night. John, that's to make up for some of the medals you should have won and you didn't win. Now if it comes to John, some wee tokens. He says a Benburg tie, jersey, a scarf to Dunbar, and what have you. And just to let you know what the secretary says, on Monday night's meeting, Johnny will be a member of Dunbar United for life. And that will be Now, ladies and gentlemen, just to let you know, I'll just say a few things. Many, many years ago, when I was a wee pup in Ormiston, I used to stand a cold windy day up and watch teams come into Dunbar. Of course, I was an Ormiston Primrose supporter in the days, but I can always remember Cup friend Dunbar came, and the old miners, Jordan Martin, Tosh, Punks, Lusk and all boys, standing on the grass bank, and as Johnny will remember. And this is how you remember with a lot of interest in that. You're a wee pup, you're impressed, and they all mind are saying, by Christ, what a broad player that Johnny Hannan is. Now, that is a compliment for people like that, I can assure you, in days gone by. And that's the first I got to know Johnny Hannan. The next that when I got to know Johnny well, you know, we're his next door neighbour, and my wife Jean and Gary, and my two sons, made their life up, and I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, I've never met a nicer person and had a nicer neighbour in all my life as I have Johnny Hannan, and it's been a pleasure for our family and everybody to be your neighbour, Johnny, and we've enjoyed it really to the bottom of our heart. You're an officer and a gentleman as far as everybody at Dunbar and the club is concerned, and we wish you all the very best.
Thank you very much, Alec, and members of the team, club. And all that's left here, John, is for me to say, John Alexander Hannan, this is your life.
All the